Hey guys, I'm here with Joe Champion, who is the founding pastor and senior pastor of Celebration Church just outside Austin, Texas. Church plant that's about 8 years old, doing some amazing stuff in that area. But God has done some incredible things in your church. And Joe, I think about leaders. When I think about leaders, so many times leaders face faith challenges.
Absolutely.
And sometimes when we hear the story of another leader and how God provided and God worked in their lives, it just emboldens our faith.
Absolutely.
And I sat and listened to you talk the other day, and you shared a story about how God provided for your church. And when I heard that story, I thought people have to hear this because the impossible took place. Tell us a little bit about your situation and what God did.
Well, like you said, faith cometh by hearing. And I think when we hear stories, and of course we are where we are because we've heard stories like Seacoast and stories that have happened around the country. But when we moved to Austin, Texas, and after going for about 2, almost 3 years, in fact, I just said out loud one day, let's believe God for 100 acres on I-35.
You're crazy.
Now, I just said it, but there was a couple that believed it. But I just declared it, 100 acres on I-35. And of course, you know, that can run anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000 an acre.
Right.
And it is one of the busiest interstates in America. It connects Dallas to San Antonio. It's the NAFTA trade route. And I just said, God, I'm going to believe God, and I'm going to declare it for 100 acres, not only for a church, but that we'll have a school and a ministry. And I've always had the concept that the church is like an airport, and that we want to be an international airport. That, frankly, like an international airport, it stays open 24 hours a day, but it's got more than one runway.
Yeah.
So I just had this concept for a lot of land, and well, this couple in our church, they said, Pastor, we're going to go help you find this property. And over a period of a year, they would come to me periodically and say, we're going to be up on top of this hill. And I just never, frankly, believed what they said. I mean, we all...
They had more faith in your
they
vision.
They did. Oh, like I said, I said it, but they believed it. And but inwardly, I never... I mean, I did question if they were hearing from God, but outwardly, I was like, you go, you find it. Hey, God bless you. And then, you know, we've all had people in our ministries that... as we say sometimes, even a blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then. So I thought, well, maybe, hey, they might be onto something. Well, frankly, what happens after a year, this piece of property that they felt like the Lord was going to plant our church on, they couldn't find out who owns it. They went to the courthouse, and basically all they found out is that there's 165 acres. And they went to the courthouse, and no one could tell them who owns the property. And they would knock on the door. They called me and they said, we're going to go find out from the people that are next to this property if they know who the people are that own the property. And make a long story short, knocked on the door. And this man at this particular home asked, as he was standing there, what do you guys want? And they said, well, we're Ray and Maria, and we're from Celebration. And we believe God is going to put a church up on top of this hill. And the thing that he said out of his mouth, the next words were, who told you? And the story is, Matt,
He said, who sent you
who
here?
sent you? How do you know?
Yeah.
And basically, literally, the 2 days before, the family, this man's wife and his brother-in-law owns this property. And the story is that for 60 years at that point, from 1942, this family has held this property. And they dedicated it to God, and the dad had died, and it was his vision to plant a church on this hill. And he had passed away 14 years prior, and so for 14 years the family had been a steward of this property, and then they felt in their spirit on a Tuesday night prayer meeting in their home as families were gathered, they said, it's now time to sell the property. We knock on the door, Ray and Maria knocked on the door on Thursday morning. It was just 36 hours prior that they had prayed and felt like God spoke to them to start the process of marketing the property. We then, of course, I meet with the family the next day, share my vision, and then 2 weeks later, they agree that it's God. And they would sell us 110 acres on I-35 for $22,000 an acre, $2.4 million.
Wow.
Now we're sitting on $20 million worth of property because of the growth that has come in this time frame. So what I'm saying is that God does provide miracles.
Yeah.
And God has miracles, I believe, especially for church planters, especially for people who are willing to take a risk. And it has literally been a talking point and a rallying point of our vision at Celebration Church.
Yeah. Yeah, and Joe, the thing I've learned is that God not only wants to grow the vision, He wants to grow the visionary. And sometimes we have to be put in difficult situations to grow the visionary who will have the faith to grow the vision. And to do the impossible. Now, one more thing. This is really important. You and I were at dinner the other day, and you held up a glass of water, and you asked the question, how fast do you think I can drink this water?
I did.
And the answer was 30 seconds. And I asked you, I said, how fast do you think you can drink it? And you said 6 seconds. Yeah. So, for our viewers,
all right.
I want them to watch the impossible, because you said you actually did it in 4.9.
Well, it's a little early in the morning, Mac, but I'm going to go for it. I believe God has gifted me and has talented me with this stewardship of drinking water. So I will be obedient to what you want me to do. And this is like church planning, frankly. Sometimes we're going to find ourselves drinking water at a hydrant, and it's going to be coming. But you know what? Drink it all in. So here I go. Let me see what I can do, Mac.
All right.
Let me get my composure and ask God to help me. Here we go.
Amazing.
A little slow.
Amazing.
A little slow. First cup. If you had another one, I'd probably be faster.
You'd be faster? Hey, I'm impressed with that. That was good. Joe, thank you so much for
Thanks,
sharing
Mac.
with us.
I appreciate it.